Nerdy pet peeves. Number 1. Android is a humanoid robot commonly used for male models, or at least commonly for the typical tech futurist putting male and female android and gynoid. Point being, it's not a smartphone name. It may be a fine smartphone, but an android it categorically is not. Why are androids so often painted as a villain type? You got your Commander Datas, your Visions, your Astro Boys, your Mega Men, but for every philanthropic synth you could probably identify 30, albeit mostly faceless cannon fodder units and mass-produced product lines that are meant to hate humans and wipe them out in thoughtless obedience. I would love to play as an android or otherwise robotic being in a real meaningful way in an RPG. Let it be more than just a costume or a skin change. Deny magic and go with gear and awesome weapons dealing with the hostile entities that can actually damage you. Cybernetics have benefits and drawbacks, I would wager. Having carbon nano enhancements could make you tougher but makes a bit more vulnerable to electrical damage. If you got the cybernetic arm but lack spinal augments, you may be able to fling heavy objects over your head, but unless your back can support it, that arm is not going to be much aid in keeping the weight above your head unless it's got tripod legs that can support the weight or other counterbalances. It is interesting to hypothesize cybernetics and ways to show pros and cons without bringing up the soul. Wonder what entities from other universes could prove smarter than Brainiac. I would like to see cross-universe intelligence scaling, though intelligence is a fickle, difficult thing to measure. A sorcerer in a world where magic is legit can be considered quite intelligent, even should they never so much have laid eyes on a preschool chemistry set. Not to mention creativity is a factor to neural measurements to a degree, even if the artful sort is horrible at math but can have encyclopedic knowledge of the piano and a musical genius with a superb imagination. Dome cities are an awesome concept, isolated civilization, a singular point if you can drive off the rat/flies/mosquitoes/poisonous creatures/grizzly and other hostile to human creatures. Improbable such superstructures are conceptually. The dome city is a neat concept. Replication tech is also cool. 3D printing 2.0 or 3.0, pure synthesizing matter including food with a bit of non-sentient biomass to utilize, could make the world proper vegetarian and end a huge sum of labor just printing smartphones on tap and other products. Perhaps even whole buildings can be replicated and synthesized. That concept is cool. Just wrapping a square of land in a tower of printing pillars to simply scan the zone and laser print a house, apartment complex, or office. Synthetic matter could also cut down deforestation if you can grow materials in a lab as multi-useful as wood and of comparable quality. Curb deforestation. I trust the scientists behind the synthetic materials. I am not so trusting of the corporations not cutting corners and not going with the corn syrup money saving at an albeit low grade and over time health cost. The corporations establish the budget. Photon weapons or rail/Gauss weapons. I am undecided on which is cooler. Plasma particle cannons are cool, but mass drivers are likely to come well before such advancements in the practical sense, as such is projectile-based. Armors of sci-fi are also interesting. I like the idea of both deceptive armor weaves that look like normal or even fashionable clothing, and the future plate armor and adaptive microbot power suit. Personal repulse fields also are interesting, even though the science is not quite clear on the mechanics or the realism of a military useful barrier system for either armored vehicles or personal shielding for infantry/civilian use. Lightsabers and photon blades. Unless you are an android or an entity with no need for Earthling breathable air, do not deploy them in an isolated area. It will eat the breathable air up like a sinkhole swallows the water. Moreover, in the age of ranged weapons, unless you are an expendable combat android, ranged weaponry should be a preference in all probability. Sure, close-range combat training still should be given, as it's still a probable confrontation from time to time, but it has taken quite the backseat to firearms. I think this is sufficient for the moment. Simple concepts to expand on a bit at a later date. I hope this proved an okay bit of nerdy mental streaming. Thank you for your time and consideration, dear listener. Goodbye for now.